So planning experiment question. The last we did was about finding the amount of calcium carbonate in the mixture. So this experiment we have to plan. We have Cassiterite, which is a naturally occurring form of a tin oxide. So we have tin oxide. We have described how would you obtain a sample of a tin from a large dump. Large dumps are there in the lab, and we have to determine the percentage by mass of tin present in this mixture. So we have the ore of the tin, which is cassiterite, and we want to identify how much tin is present. Tin is a less reactive metal. Less reactive metal we can remove or reduce by reduction with carbon or carbon monoxide. Tin is similar reactivity as iron, as they mentioned the reactivity. So it's like below carbon. So carbon or carbon monoxide both can reduce. So first what we should do. So we'll take a sample, as I mentioned, large lumps are there. What we should do to the large lumps? Whenever crush. So whenever large lumps are given, we have to crush. How we should crush? How we should crush? Mortar and pestle. So we'll using a mortar and pestle, we will crush this. And after crushing it, we will transfer into a crucible. Crucible is a deep container. So we'll have the ore of tin oxide. Tin is less, like it is having a similar reactivity as iron. So how we can remove oxygen from this? Like this is tin oxide. We want to remove oxygen. So how we can remove oxygen? There are two ways. Either we react with carbon, like add carbon and heat, or we can react with carbon monoxide and heat. But because in the law, at the end, we want to determine the percentage by mass of a tin present. So first, what we should do, we should measure the mass. So we should measure the mass of tin oxide. That is the first thing. After measuring the mass of a tin oxide, we will crush using mortar and the pestle. After crushing using a mortar and pestle, what we should do? So we will heat with carbon or carbon monoxide. After heating with carbon or carbon monoxide, because if we heat with carbon or carbon monoxide, the oxygen will be removed. Oxygen will be removed from this because oxygen react with the carbon present and it will, sorry, carbon react with oxygen, which is present in the tin. So tin oxide is there if we are adding a carbon or a carbon monoxide. So it will form tin metal and it will produce carbon dioxide. So the oxygen will be removed from the tin oxide in the form of carbon dioxide. So heat with carbon or a carbon monoxide. After heating with carbon or a carbon monoxide, we will reweigh, like measure the mass again. How to work out the percentage of a tin? If you want to find the percentage of a tin is equals to mass of tin, because when we reweigh, that will be the mass of a tin. The mass of a tin divided by the mass of the sample. And because you need the percentage, so this should be multiplied by 100. So we measure the mass of tin oxide. After measuring, we crush using a mortar and pestle. Then we heat with either carbon or a carbon monoxide, as it's a less reactive. Then we'll measure the mass again, like we'll reweigh. And when we reweigh, that is actually giving the mass of tin. And the original mass was tin oxide. So mass of a tin divided by mass of a sample, the original sample, into 100 will give us what percentage of tin is present in this mixture. Is it clear? Now plan this experiment and send the pictures now.